This video shows all the features that were added in Spire 2.1. So to start with, one of the major features added was the Service Manager. And if you have an optional license for that, you will see some extra buttons inside the program. So first of all, the Equipment tab, and that shows all of the equipment that a customer owns. And then if you go under Edit Company Settings, you look under the equipment list here, and this is where you would lay out what the equipment screen is to have on it. So depending on the type of business you're in, if you're in automotive repair, then current reading might say current odometer, or if you're repairing, again, vehicles, your serial number field might say VIN, vehicle identification number. But if you're repairing computers or refrigerators, it might say serial number. And all of these fields are extra ones. So you've got 5 extra fields that you can put on the screen. So if you leave it blank, it won't even show up on the screen at all. But if you add that here, it'll show up as a field on the screen. So once you've decided what you want on here, you just save and close that. And when you look at your vehicle list, you'll see all those fields are all on here. So each of these names are configurable to what you, so it fits to your business. Okay, and every one of those fields that are on here are searchable on the list up here as well. Okay, in addition to that, we made all the fields significantly wider as well. They're all 80 characters wide now, whereas in our old version for Essentials, they were, I think, only about 30 or 40 characters wide, but we made all of them significantly wider. In addition, we added user-defined fields. So if you've got the optional UDF module, you can add any number of fields extra you want, separated in different tabs and things too. All right, and then just to have a quick look what it looks like on a sales order. There will be a full demonstration video on the Service Manager on its own, so that to go through all the features and the flow of it. But if I just put on a customer on here, and okay, if I look at the service info, this is the service tab for the item, and I can pick up the item that they're going to repair, and it fills out with all the information on it, and anything I update from here, like my service notes, will get updated with that, and then all the history that was ever done to this particular piece of equipment will show up down here, and you can drill down on that. Okay, so that's all the changes to the Service Manager, and we're happy now to have that available in Spire. Okay, and next feature, we added sales taxes to warehouses. So we go Edit Warehouses. You will see that on each warehouse, there's a sales tax section, and you can set tax 1, 2, or 3 here. And that way, when you drop ship from a purchase order, because you set the purchase order with a warehouse on it, it will use these taxes to the location you're shipping to, or sorry, your supplier is shipping to you. Because you may have different warehouses across the country that have different tax jurisdictions. So instead of just taking the tax from the vendor, it will take the tax from here. Now, by default, the vendor's tax will be charged, but if you go into each vendor, because not all vendors ship across the country, but if you go into each vendor, you just, on the general tab, you tell it to use the billing address, which means it's going to use the taxes that we set up in the vendor itself right here. Or if you uncheck that, it will use the taxes from the warehouse instead. Okay, so that's the new warehouse tax feature. Next one is I can't show, but I can talk about here is change overnight date. So I'm logged in here on the 5th month, 6th day, 2016, and I go home for the night, forget to log out, come in the morning, and I keep working. And especially if it's over a month end, it's not good to have postings you do all day long in the wrong month. So if we go past the day, we're not on the same current date, it will use that day instead. Now, if you log in on a backdate, so you backdate your login as you log into the program, then it will not change. It'll stay with that date as long as you're logged into the program. Okay. Next one, small feature, but apparently a lot of people liked it or wanted to have it. In sales history, under the item view, we added the province to the list, so you can now sort and export by province. Let's see right there, province or state. So there it is here. So now you can see what items are selling to what provinces without running off a report. Next one is, we have already customer code change and inventory code change. We've now added vendor code change as well. So you can add in the old vendor code, the new vendor code, create a big list here, and then apply it, and it'll go through all of history and update it. Now, you're putting a lot on here. You should save it, just hit the save button and do the apply when everybody's out, maybe on a weekend or something, because it does go through a lot of historical records to update that. Okay, next one is inside of sales orders. You're going to find, as usual, of course, we can, on the list, we can sort by each of these columns. We see the header information. We now have an item view, so you can see every item on the order. So if you can sort by part number, you can see all the customers that have got that part number on the order. So very handy if you want to export this list or just have a quick look as to who's got what on their orders without having to run a report off on it. Okay, and we did exactly the same thing in the purchase order module, so that under purchases it has the item view. You can see all the items on all the POs. Okay, we also now keep the journal entry open when you're posting. So if you are going into the general ledger and you're going to create a journal entry, you put in an account number and an amount, and you choose what you're posting it to, and you hit the post button. And then another feature here, we have a hotkey to post it, so Alt S, so I can hit the Alt S to post it, and it stays open. Okay, and and the other thing we did change too is the widths of the screen stay as you set them. So however you set these, it'll stay that width. The one I skipped over was the fact that we put the create transaction button right on the front. You don't have to go digging down under transactions, and create transaction right here. You can go directly as soon as you get into the general ledger. Okay. We also now show the last journal source posted down the bottom here. So you can see what last transaction that you posted. This is not everybody on the network, but the last one you did. And we now on POs, if we go to the purchases and we go into a received purchase order, let's go with this one here. Inside the PO, you will now see we have a receipts button. Let's just find one that's got a bit more on it. There was one here. All the receipts that have happened on this purchase order to date, and the date it got received will also be on here. So I don't know if I can receive a bit more here. I'll just maybe over receive something. So I'll go to receive 23 more of these, hit the receive button, and it tells me exceeding the quantity on the order. I'm going to proceed anyway. No. And then when I go to the receipts tab, let's go to report print, and I go back into it, go to my receipts tab now. You will see I've got that extra line here of receiving, so it shows today's date. So every day, if I'm receiving many times against a purchase order, I can see every receipt for it. Okay, so that's some of our top requests that we've had for feature additions. There are more coming in each version as we release them. So as we add a new major release, then we'll add a lot of the smaller stuff in as well. And like I said, this particular release 2.1, the major part of this one was the service module, and with this extra half a dozen, or actually 10 or 15 extra features, we continue to do that with each release of Spire.